Hello and welcome. In this lesson, we'll be looking at how to play Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven with note names and chords for beginners in this easy piano tutorial. We'll go through the piece measure by measure with note names and letters with chords. And we'll talk about a few alternatives so you can truly make this piece your own. Don't forget to snag your free 100-day practice challenge. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss a lesson. So if you're ready, let's get started. The chord that begins this piece is E minor, and what we're going to do is I will show you the outline of the chord, and then I'll go back and sort of play the melody or the main features that you would recognize from this Moonlight Sonata, and then we'll kind of put it together, but we're going to go really slow and we'll just take it literally measure by measure. So the opening of the piece is the E minor chord, and that is E, G, and B. When you actually play the piece, the chord is outlined in the right hand in a different inversion, but that doesn't matter. So the notes are B, E, G, B, E, G. And in my left hand, I'm just playing the E, so that's the root of the chord. And you're going to play this pattern twice. So this is the same for measures 1 and 2. E minor chord. Moving on to the next set of measures, measures 3 and 4 are similar, except there is a small and slight change, which even though it's just one note, it does make a difference. However, the chord remains the same. So in measure 3, it's still the E minor chord. The notes are E, G, and B, right? But in the left hand, instead of playing the E, when we play the main piece, our left hand is going to move to D. So let's just review the chords in measures 3 and 4. It's still E minor, and the right hand continues to outline the E minor chord, but the left hand, instead of playing E, moves down to D. And it just gives it that beautiful tension, which really is calling for some sort of relief. And that relief comes in through measures 5. So in measure 5, this is the first time where we see C major, and the chord C major is spelled C, E, and G. Now what's beautiful about this version of the piece is that basically every chord that you need to know is outlined in this arpeggiated form of the chord. So it's just a broken chord, and it makes it much easier for you to understand and learn from this piece. So measure 5 is the C major chord. You're going to play the root, which is the melody. Right now is in the left hand in the piece, and you're outlining the C major chord in your right hand. So let's try measure 5 together. And then all we're going to do now is we're going to play the F major chord. And the F major chord, now I'm not going to play it as written just for now. I just want to show you in root position. In root position, the F major chord is F, A, and C. And then all we're going to do in the right hand is simply just invert that. So we're going to throw the C on the bottom. It's still the F major chord. So C, F, A, C, F, A. And the left hand, right, is going to play the A. So let's go back to measure 5 and put measure 5 and 6 together. So measure 5, we have C major, moving to F major. Now, once we've reached measure 6, we're eager to get back to the sound that we've been used to, sort of that minor sound bringing us back to the home key of E minor. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So now we're going to play the B major 7th chord, and the notes are B, D sharp, F sharp, and A. That's the outline of the chord. Now in measure 7, we're going to actually shift from B major 7th to E minor. Okay, this is the first time we've seen this piece where we're actually playing 2 different chords within the same measure. So make sure you're really comfortable with the B major 7th chord, B, D sharp, F and A, F sharp and A, and then back to the E minor chord, E, G, and B. So if you want, practice these 2 chords back and forth, B major 7th, E minor, because you're going to have to shift rather quickly in measure 7. Now in measure 8, I really like the chord in measure 8. It's a B major chord with an added 4. So there's the B major chord, B, D sharp, and F sharp. Now they've just added this 4th for tension, and then it goes back to the B major 7th chord. So you can think of it as an open B chord with an added 4. So the notes are B, E, and F, and then you're going to go straight back to that B major 7th chord. Now, the only thing you might want to be aware of is the difference between the B major 7th chord in measure 7 is you're starting on the root B, but in measure 8, the B 7th chord, you're going to, because it's a 7th, you're adding the 7th, you're going to add that 7th in the, with your thumb in your right hand down to A. So let's quickly practice just the right hand, because there are quite a few chord changes, something that we haven't encountered yet in this piece in terms of the change of chords at the speed. So measure 7, it's B major 7, E minor. Now here comes that B major chord with that added 4, B, E, F, and B major 7th with an A starting out the chord, A, D sharp, and F sharp. Okay, now let's put it together. Here we go, measure 7. And before I forget, to make it really easy, all we have to do in your left hand is just play the B twice. Here we go, measure 7 and 8. Let's try it one more time. B major 7, E minor, B major with that 4, B major 7th with the A. Okay. Now, our ear is telling us we're ready to resolve back to the E minor. And if that's what you were leaning towards, you were absolutely correct. So you should be by now familiar with the E minor, because this is the chord that we started the piece with. Now, in this version, we're actually just going to play the E with our left hand, and in the right hand, we're playing the E minor chord just in a different inversion. So the notes are G, B, and E. So you're going to play, and then instead of repeating like we have in the past, the same inversion, we're actually going to shift up. We're still playing the same chord, we're just going to shift up to a different inversion. So we're going to start with the G and then the B. So E, B, E, B, E, G, G, B, E, B, E, G. And all you're doing is just outlining the chord. So think about it this way, you're just outlining the E minor chord. Same with measure 10. Now, this is the first time that we hear the melody being played in the right hand. So our left hand is still just going to play the E twice, measure 9 and 10. Now in the right hand, suddenly in measure 10, right hand plays the melody. And if you guessed it, we're now going to move to the B major 7th chord. Now, be really careful, because now we're having the chords arpeggiated in our left hand. But if you learn them sufficiently in your right hand, it should not be an issue for you to be able to transfer them to your left hand. So the left hand now is going to play that B major 7th chord. And just for a quick review, the notes are B, D sharp, F sharp, and A. Okay? But in this version, we're playing it in a different inversion of the chord. So instead of playing B, D sharp, F sharp, A, we're going to start with the D sharp and play the notes D sharp, A, and B. And in the right hand is the melody. And we're going to play this simple, repeated, arpeggiated chord pattern for measures 11 and 12 in the left hand. And the right hand is just going to play the melody. So let's start with measure 11. And in measure 13, we're going to again shift back to that E minor. again, the left hand now is taking over the job that the right hand was doing previously, and that's just playing the chord arpeggiated. And the right hand, this is the E minor chord, E, G, and B. And the right hand is going to play the melody. So let's try measure 13. Measure 14, we're going to play the A minor chord, and the A minor chord is A, C, and E. Now in this version, we're actually expanding the chord. So instead of keeping the chord tight, we're going to not play the third of the chord. We're going to play the first, the fifth, and then we're going to play the octave. And the right hand's going to take the melody. So in measure 14, the A minor chord, and we're going to, again, like we did earlier, we're going to play it in a different inversion. All we're doing is playing the same A minor chord, just in different inversions. So let's go back to measure 13, E minor, A minor, invert that chord. Okay, let's try it one more time, E minor, A minor, invert the chord. Measure 15. Now we have the G major chord, and that is simply G, B, and D. And we're going to play the outline of this chord in our left hand. So instead of playing it in root position, we're going to play it in second inversion, but you don't really have to know that. Just note that you're going to start the G major chord on the D. So left hand's going to play D, G, B, and the right hand's going to play the B. So you repeat this pattern twice in your left hand in measure 15. Now we're going to move to the D major 7 chord, and the D major 7 chord is spelled D, F, A, C. But again, you're going to be playing this in your left hand, and your right hand is simply going to play the notes A and D. And isn't this beautiful how basically your left hand is just supporting your right hand? They're actually playing the same chord, just in a slightly different way. So measure 16. Let's put measure 15 and 16 together. So starting back again with the G major, D major 7, and then of course we want to resolve back to the G major. And by now G major should feel very comfortable for you because we've encountered this twice already in this piece. Measure 17, simply just the G major chord, G, B, and D. For 2 measures, the right hand's going to take the melody, left hand's simply going to keep repeating the outline of the G major chord. Let's try measure 17 and 18. So the right hand is simply playing the first, the G, and the fifth of the D major chord. Now, we're landing on D, so this is giving us the signal that we're probably going to play a D major 7 chord, right? And that's exactly what we're going to do. So we looked at this in measure 16, and again, the D major chord, 7th chord, is D, F sharp, A, and C. And we're going to play this chord, but we're going to play it in our left hand in an inversion. So the notes are F sharp, C, and D. And the right hand simply plays just the D. And we're going to keep repeating this pattern in our left hand for 2 measures. And the right hand also only just plays the note D with a rhythm. So let's try measures 19 and 20 together. Now, finally, we're going back to the G major because what we've done is we've temporarily modulated. Remember, we started the piece in E minor. Now we're playing and moving between D major 7th and G. Now, this is interesting because this is the last time we're actually going to be playing in G major, D major 7th, back to G major. This measure here, measure 21, is going to take us back to the home key of E minor. So in measure 21, you have 1 measure of the G major chord, which is G, B, and D, and then your left hand is actually going to play this chord broken up, and your right hand is going to play just the D. Now for the first time in a long time, we're going back to the B major 7th. Now, this might sound minor to you. It's not, okay? It's just the inversion that it is. It sounds as if it's minor because we've been used to hearing D major, G major. But the B major 7th chord in measure 22 is just B, D sharp, F sharp, and A. And all we're going to do is play it in the second inversion. So left hand will play F sharp, A, and B. And right hand is playing D sharp. And then we're going to move to E minor, and that's E, G, B. Now let's try measure 22 together, because this might be a little bit new for you, the way we're shifting from B major 7th to E minor. So it's F in your left hand, sharp, A, C, E minor, E, G, B. Let's put measure 21 and 22 together. So again, we're going to go back to that idea of living in G major temporarily. G major chord, B major 7th, E minor. Now, finally, we get to work our way to the end of the song. So we're going to be playing B major 7th again, but not on the F sharp as we just did. We're going to play it on the D sharp. Now, let me just give you a little hint. In this piece, as long as you can play the inversion of the chords, you're never going to be confused. All right, so measure 23, all it is the B major 7th chord, B, D sharp, F, and A, but you're inverting it into first inversion and you're playing it with your left hand. And the right hand takes the F sharp, and then we're going back to E minor, E, G, and B, and in the right hand we're going to play that high E. So the right hand plays F sharp, E, and the left hand the B major 7th chord to the E minor chord. I keep wanting to say B minor because I'm thinking ahead of E minor, but it's always B major. So measure 22 and 23 and 24, B major 7th to E minor, and then we get one final chord that's other than the B major 7th and the E minor, is the F major. So F major chord is F, A, and C, and we're going to be playing that in our left hand in first inversion, so the notes are A, C, and F. Okay, and our right hand we're going to play just the F, play that outline of that chord twice, and then we're going to go back to the B major 7. Now, again, this is the B major 7th chord, but this time we're going to play it in root position. So B, F sharp, A. We're not going to play the third, not this D sharp. We're simply going to shift from B, F sharp, A, and D sharp in our right hand. So let's put measure 25 and 26 together. So we have F major, B major 7th, and finally, we get to go to our home key of E minor. Now, this is the first time where we're actually going to play some broken arpeggios. So I strongly recommend that you practice arpeggios and practice this section a little independently. So practice your right hand first, okay, because it is the outline of the E minor triad, but it's broken up in a way that might take you a little bit of time if you're not accustomed to playing this type of pattern or this type of a broken arpeggio. So in measure 27, you still have the E minor chord, but your right hand is going to play this pattern, E, G, B, E, G, B. Same with measure 28, the B major 7th chord, the left hand will play the B, and the right hand is simply outlining that B major 7th chord, but in a different way. So listen to me play just the right hand, measure 28, D sharp, F sharp, C, D sharp, A, C. So again, this might take some time. Okay. And play this until you feel really comfortable. So let's put measure 27 and 28 together. Now, measure 29 is simply going to write us out in the E minor chord. But you're going to continue that pattern. So the notes in E minor are E, G, and B. And the notes are B, E, B, G, B, G, E, E, and then you're going to just take that to the lower octave. This is really, really easy. So let's put measure 29 to the end together. You're simply just outlining the E minor chord. Left hand plays the E and the G, and then it goes down to the lower octave. Right hand is playing the outline of the E minor chord, E, E, and then it just plays just the lower E and G. So let's try it together. Congratulations, you've completed this lesson. See you in the next lesson.